Due to the nature of this program, listener aggression is advised.
Hey, I'm Carla. I'm Heidi.
And we're the Butcher Baby.
This is Charlie Scene.
Yo, what's up? This is AJ from Fire from the Gods.
This is Rich Ward, the Duke of Metal from Fozzy.
Saddam Leader from In Search of Sun.
This is Beefcake the Mighty from Guam.
And Postulus Maximus.
Ahoy, this is Chris from Maelstrom.
Yo, what's up? This is J-Dog from Hollywood Undead.
Hi, this is Ash Costello from New Year's Day.
This is Tommy Vex from the Bad Wolves.
This is Joe from Dead.
Brutality!
And I'll tell you now to stay fucking metal, yeah!
What's up, everybody? This is Marc Rizzo, and you are listening to Honest Brutality.
Welcome to Honest Brutality. This is the show that is all things rock, metal, and stuff that does not suck. I am your host, Evil, and I'm joined by my co-hosts.
This is Big Sloppy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Camera Rebel.
Hey, guys. We have a guest on the line today. We have Mr. Marc Rizzo.
Hello. How's it going, everyone?
Hey, it's good.
We are fantastic. Even better having you on the line, you rock and roll badass. How's your day going?
Good. Just hanging out and getting ready to release my new record. That'll be out at the end of March, so pretty excited.
Hey, are you in Jersey right now? Where are you at?
I'm actually in Virginia right now, just hanging out down here for the weekend, and then I'll head back to Jersey, where I'm from, and where I usually come home to.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Virginia. People don't actually go to Virginia, do they? Just kind of end up there. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
You're definitely doing a lot of press right now, and rightfully so, getting ready to release this new album. You're a busy dude.
Yeah, with all the different bands and projects I got going on, I'm just constantly playing music,
You're making a living at it, which is a wonderful thing, and not everybody can say that these days.
Absolutely.
And I look around, at all the stuff you're involved in. I mean, you got the solo album, obviously, which, by the way, pretty kick-ass, bro. We got a little sneak peek at it. And
great, thank
you. Let's get into that a little bit because, in the vein of Yngwie or Steve Vai or Satriani, guys, John 5 put out a killer album last year. It's all instrumental. This is right in that line, and it's freaking heavy, bro. It's got some heavy overtones on it. I love it.
Thank you. I mean, that's kind of always been my vibe with my instrumental records. I've been making them since 2005 was my first one, and I've always wanted to just make more heavier instrumental songs mixed with the acoustic Latin influence that I like to do also. So that's always been kind of my style.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than what everybody else is doing.
It really is.
In a lot of respects, because a lot of times you get these guitar virtuosos that are out there doing the instrumental albums, and they kind of get way, way left on the tangent, so to speak, as far as, the artsy stuff. And yours still just absolutely are balls to the wall and grinding it out. I love it. Sounds great.
Oh, thank you.
So you know what, Mark? Usually songs are titled based on lyrics, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How do you title your instrumental songs?
Just kind of from the vibe of the song, what I'm kind of what it kind of makes me feel, So I kind of just imagine, what I'm going for. Some of the song titles are also kind of humorous type titles. Some of them are serious, So it's just whatever I'm feeling off the music itself. On
your new album coming out here, the Jungle Jam Slam and the Thrash Boogie are my two favorite titles. Those are freaking wicked awesome. I love it. I love it. You're welcome. It makes me giggle.
If I was writing a song on how I felt, it'd be, it was one shot too many. That'd be the title of that song.
Yeah.
Should have called it Quits at 3 a.m. That's another title.
Just so the listening audience, if you don't already know who Marc Rizzo is, let's give them a little bit of an idea of all the different things you are doing. So Soulfly, Cavelera Conspiracy, amongst a litany of other bands. You want to go down the list here and just rattle a few off?
Sure. I mean, my first band I was in that got a record deal that was a national touring act was Ill Nino. So I started with them, and then I quit that band in 2003 and joined Soulfly literally like that week. and I've been in Soulfly now for 15 years. And then I'm also in a band called Cavelera Conspiracy, which I've been doing since 2008. And then I have my solo instrumental stuff that I've been releasing records now since 2005. And I also did a short little stint with the Misfits, and I've recorded 2 songs with them for an EP and played a festival with them, and hoping maybe to work with them in the future too.
Yeah, I saw the picture of you with the makeup on. It was wonderful.
It was pretty funny.
Was that a cool moment for you? Where the Misfits are one of those iconic bands.
Oh yeah, I mean, where I'm from in New Jersey, I grew up 5 minutes away from where the Misfits are originally from. So I've always been a huge Misfits fan my whole life, So when I was asked to play with them, I was super honored.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that would be a trippy moment.
Yeah, it had to be kind of a different thing for you too, because it's kind of a departure from what you normally do musically. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm probably more known for doing guitar solos and thrashy shredding type stuff, and the Misfits is obviously just straightforward punk rock.
Right.
But they're my favorite punk rock band of all time. So I was really stoked to do it.
Obviously, you've been playing guitar forever. It seems like, right? And
oh yeah.
What was that one lead solo you heard when you were young? It was like, fuck me, I gotta play guitar. I gotta do that. What grabbed you?
It was definitely Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page, and the song Black Dog. I remember when I first heard that song, that was it for me. I was like 8 years old, and that made me want to play guitar. And that was one of the first songs I ever learned. It took me forever to learn it, but that was the song and the band.
So at that time, did you own a guitar, or was it thereafter that you got one? And what was your first guitar? Who gave it to you?
I think my mother, she bought me a small little acoustic guitar. So I started with the acoustic guitar for about a year, and then I moved on to electric guitar shortly after that.
Nice.
Wonderful. What was it like growing up in an Italian family? It was like your basic Italian family from New Jersey. We ate a lot of pizza. I grew up eating pizza. It was some of the best pizzerias in the area. Every Sunday was pasta. And awesome.
We ate a lot of bread. We were definitely not dieting from carbs. And then I remember having a lot of family that spoke Italian, and then going to Italy on vacation and visiting family in Italy. So I tour Europe all the time now, but I grew up used to that culture and eating that kind of food just from growing up where I grew up and how I grew up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Were you a bit of a black
awesome.
sheep being into metal and rock?
Nah, because everybody in my neighborhood was into metal. We were kind of, I guess we were kind of like Guido metalheads.
I love it.
So
beautiful.
That was kind of, that was the thing, was we were metalheads. Everyone in my neighborhood was into metal and played an instrument.
Nice.
It's not metal, forget about it.
Yeah,
exactly. Love it. That's badass.
So, hey, Mark, you taking this out on the road at all?
Well, I'm always on tour with my other band, Soulfly and Cavelera Conspiracy. But as soon as, whenever I have time off from those two bands, then I go out with my solo project. So yes, I definitely plan on doing a tour in support of my new solo record coming out. So hopefully within the next couple of months, I'll announce a solo tour.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Who do you take out with you? Do you have a list of players that you normally take with you? Is it the same guys, or do you hire on?
Yeah, usually I have different bass players I play with, but I usually always bring out my drummer, Anthony DeVizio, who did all the drums on my record. So
Nice.
He's been with me for a long time, and then we usually just go out as a three-piece, just drums, bass, and guitar.
Perfect.
And I've done about 6 or 7 U.S. tours now, and I try to do maybe 2 or 3 tours a year. So I'm really excited to tour for this new record, because this new record, these songs were deliberately written for the live show.
I get that feel. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of touring, what is like one of the most craziest things you've seen on tour?
So many things. Some things I
right.
can talk about. Some
Right.
things I can't talk about.
Right.
Oh, come on, man up.
So,
It's a rock star.
so many things. And,
Yeah.
I hang out with all the fans after the show, and
Awesome.
it gets pretty crazy. And there's so many great stories, and it's fun. You know, I really enjoy touring just because I love hanging out with the fans after the show and going out, you know, getting into trouble later at night, and you know, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it definitely is a lot of fun.
Now, people ask you to sign things all the time. Has anybody ever asked you to sign something? You said, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
I've had dudes ask me to sign their chest. Now I've signed many female. I've signed many female chests, and I'm okay with that. But when some big, burly, overweight guy with a big hairy chest pulls off his shirt and asks me to sign, I normally say I'm going to pass on that. I'll sign your shirt. I'm not. You know.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Too funny, man. Too funny.
So as you mentioned earlier, you've been in the music industry for quite a few years, and I would say you've pretty much probably seen it all. As far as like looking back in retrospect from when you very first kind of started on the scene, look forward like 20 years from now. What do you think the music industry is going to look like? Album sales, shows, that sort of thing. What do you think it's going to look like then?
I hope, you know, it gets better. It's been rough these last probably 10 years, you know, with the downloading and people not buying CDs. I hope they find a better way to, you know, to monetize people's music and get the artists paid directly. And I hope it gets better again in that department, and more people coming out to live shows and supporting live music. So I'm hopeful that it will get back to, you know, when it was always packed shows and just people buying records, you know, and music again like it used to be.
Right.
Hey, you say buying records. How do you feel about the guys that are dropping vinyl albums and generating that? You into that at all?
I don't buy vinyls, but I think it's cool. I think it's really cool how there's that audience that wants it on vinyl still, because it has a warmer sound, and it is really a cool throwback to, you know, the days when everything was on vinyl. And I remember those days as a young kid too, like in the 80s. Oh, yeah. And I think it's great. I think it's really cool that people they want it on vinyl.
I think it's kind of a great idea, people grabbing a hold of that, especially kids nowadays. I mean, shit, when I was a kid, my first album was a Warped Paranoid album that my uncle gave me. I had to put 4 quarters on the stylus to keep it on the record to play. And right. I miss those days, but I would buy the actual vinyl album and then record it on the cassette, and I'd just keep the pristine album vinyl and then wear the shit out of that cassette, you know. That was the 80s, man. That was the 80s.
Yeah, it's a great time.
But it was one way for, you know, I'm looking around nowadays, we talked to a lot of bands that they're deliberately making these vinyl albums because they know they can generate physical copy sales that way, as opposed to people downloading and getting the music for free. So I didn't know maybe you were looking to do that with your new album, put it on vinyl.
I would love to. I would have to talk to the label that's putting the record out, and hopefully they'd be interested in doing it. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. I would really like it.
Okay, well, I want 10% of that for the idea.
So speaking of the music industry, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Probably just, you know, again, what's going on with people not buying, you know, records, obviously, and just all the technology. You know, I think, you know, like we were saying about the 80s and even the 70s, where people really came out and supported music. And I remember that growing up as a kid in the late 80s, you know, early, mid 90s, you know, where you bought records, you bought cassettes, you bought CDs, and going to a live show was like a big deal. It was, you know, exciting. Me and my friends, every weekend we'd go see shows, you know. So, you know, I think it still is like that, but the excitement is just not like it used to be growing up back in those days, and buying records and cherishing those records. You know, now it's all for free online, you know, YouTube, and it's you know, it's a little upsetting. Yeah.
Are you seeing a big shift in the live audiences in the last few years? Is there a difference, comparatively speaking?
Depending in what country we go to. I mean, I think in Europe, it's still, you know, our shows are still packed, and there's still this excitement for the live show. South America is definitely crazy like that. The shows are incredible. But definitely in the States, it's a little bit more underground, I've noticed, and it's not, I don't know how to explain it. It's just not as, it's not as on a bigger level like it is everywhere else around the world for us. So,
yeah.
Do you think that YouTube and the ability to sit in your own home and watch shows on YouTube is hindering the audience?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm even guilty of it. I watch, live shows on YouTube. It's just so easy, to do that. It's just the technology nowadays. And, I think there are people that are just like, I'll watch the show on YouTube. Why go to the show?
Right.
Which is, it's sad.
Yeah. You see that because the larger names back, I keep referencing the 80s, 90s. That's when I grew up, man. That's my go-to because I know what it was like back then. But when a band dropped an album annually, it was every year, by the way, they would drop an album, good or bad, or indifferent. There's always a few good songs per every album. But you knew when they dropped that album, they're going to tour. They're going to tour an arena. They wouldn't be playing clubs. They'd be playing arenas.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's pretty much, every band back in the day. And you'd be going to the Cow Palace in San Francisco or the Oakland Coliseum. We're from the Bay Area, Oakland Coliseum, and that's where I'd go see, Iron Maiden, or I'd go see Motley Crue or whoever at the time. And you look at the landscape of what's going on, and I'd love to see it get back to the arena size. Which brings me to a question for you. You played clubs, you played large arenas, and you played a lot of the festivals, and the festivals seem to be the big draw nowadays, where you get their large crowds on the state side. Do you prefer playing the festivals, or do you prefer playing the smaller clubs? Because obviously, with your solo act, you're playing more clubs than anything. Yeah. Which do you prefer?
Yeah. I mean, I love the festivals because obviously it's incredible to play these huge audiences. I mean, we've done some major festivals, 150,000 people, 75,000 people. I mean, it's insane the intensity of it. But I definitely still playing the smaller clubs because you got the whole day to sound check and set up, and then it's more intimate. After the show, you can hang out with everybody. The festivals you're really kind of not as close to the crowd, and don't have the ability to really even sound check. A lot of times you just get thrown on stage and set up within 10 minutes and have to start playing. So I definitely still do enjoy playing the smaller clubs a lot better.
Well, I would say that the smaller club, they are your fans. They are there to see you specifically as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's more of a bond there, and they're familiar with, everybody there is familiar with your music. And I guess that makes it that much better, you would think. Anyway.
Exactly.
When you're not out there touring and in your home doing your thing, do you ever go stir crazy? I know that you're very much into working out and that sort of thing, but do you ever just kind of get nervous, like I need to get out on the road, or what's that like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the hardest part. It's like I come home and I what I usually do is if I am home from the road, I usually at least try to minimum have my weekends booked with like local gigs around New York, New Jersey. I'll even drive up maybe to Boston or, stuff within like a 5-6 hour drive around my area. And I need it because I definitely start to go crazy. It's like, I got to play a show. It gives me something to do on the weekends to look forward to.
Yeah, you know what? Which actually kind of sparks a good question. We've heard over there in your neck of the woods that the music scene is kind of dropping. What is your take on that?
Yeah, it's weird because growing up as a kid, the shows around here were incredible. There was always a great show in New York City, obviously, whether it was in any kind of music, whether it was like going to a jazz blues club or going to a big metal show. It was incredible, but it just seems like a lot of the clubs are closing down by us. And I don't know what it is. It's just not as, the weather I'm sure has a lot to do with it when it's freezing cold and stuff, but it's just, I don't know. There's really not as many smaller clubs like there used to be, like the CBGBs. And by me in New Jersey, we had a place called Pipeline. We had a place called Studio One. It's kind of like, it's more just like the bigger clubs, and a lot of the smaller places are starting to close down. Yeah,
that's such a bummer.
I hate seeing that too. We're seeing it all around the world too, by the way. We've talked to bands in the UK. Insert the Sun was one of them. They were telling us about some of their go-to hangouts to play are just drying up. There's nobody there, and they're opening up these hip-hop, techno clubs that are just eating it up over there. So they got
that too.
There's no outlet, and it's really sad for these smaller bands trying to get their name out there to get a live show going.
Are you suggesting that Mark make a dance album?
Yeah, I would dare say his new album is a dance if you call moshing dancing. So,
hey Mark, speaking of, you ever get in the mosh pit, or you ever do any crowd surfing?
I used to all the time, my younger years, that was, I always went into the pit. I grew up going to shows and stage diving and slam dancing, and I probably even still if I get the urge, I'll jump in, but it has been a while. I try not to get in too much anymore because, I'm getting older now. So.
Yeah.
Believe me, bro, I know the feeling.
The older we get, the more it's hard for our bodies to bounce back. Last year, we went to Aftershock, and it was during my birthday, and I turned young, and it was like, this is one of my life goals is to do some crowd surfing. So I got up there and I did it, and I won't say that I won't ever do it again, but man, it was pretty intense, and it was with Beartooth of all things, so it was pretty freaking wild.
Wow.
I took a shoe to the head at one point.
Yeah.
You're out there touring with Soulfly and Cavelera Conspiracy, and I'm not saying anything untowards, but you're dealing with a couple of guys in the band who are, they're getting older, and we're seeing a lot of the older rock bands starting to kind of attrition a little bit. And for instance, Slayer is announcing that they're calling it quits.
Right.
How do you feel about that, where the rock scene is headed as far as the older artists dropping off, and do you see that maybe slowing down for those two bands?
Eventually, you want to try to stay touring as long as you can into your older years. Look at the Rolling Stones; they're still rocking.
That's true.
But I think it's just up to the band. It's personal. It's just if they're feeling like it's time, then best wishes. It's like with Slayer; they're one of my favorite bands, and if they think this is it, it's time for them to check out, then it's totally up to them, and they've had an incredible career. So,
right.
Who's to say when it's time? It's all up to the band members when they're feeling it's time.
So let's talk about rotation a little more. Were you at any point in the studio cutting a song and think, man, I can't wait to unleash this on the world? People are going to shit when they hear this. Any tunes that really stand out to you like that?
Oh yeah. I really think the whole record. I think it's definitely the record that I deliberately wrote it, with in mind that I was going to tour it and get these songs out live, because a lot of times at my live shows, kids start slam dancing, and it's an instrumental show, and that's not supposed to happen. But we keep it heavy. We keep it heavy and grooving, and it just breaks out and happens, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
This record, I was really excited when I wrote it, and there definitely is a lot of excitement on the record. You can hear it, and it's heavy and grooving, and I can't wait to play it live and see the reaction.
Yeah, we got a taste of it, and we were able to go through and listen to it. And I got to tell you, man, it's phenomenal. And here's the thing: is I'm not a big instrumental album guy in the first place. I like them, but usually in small doses. And yours is a killer album. Yeah. The only problem is I don't think it's a good album to drive to. You may end up with some speeding tickets.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what we ought to do, Mark? We ought to do something fun with this album. We ought to get on an elevator that's got elevator music and start pumping that in just to get reactions out of
reaction
people
videos
in the
video
in the
up in the
elevator. Because that would be hilarious. What the hell?
That would be.
That would be awesome.
Good idea.
Damn right, it's a good idea. I'll take 10% on that one too.
There you go.
Mark, I read some stuff about rotation and it coming forward and you getting it pushed out there. Seems like there was maybe some different hurdles you had to jump there before you came over to Combat.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I recorded the record actually about 6 years ago, and it was all out of my pocket. I paid for everything, and I was shopping it for a long time, trying to talk to different labels. We were talking to, even the labels that put out the Soulfly stuff, the Cavelera Conspiracy stuff, people that I've worked with in the past, and just nobody was interested, I guess, because it's instrumental. So it just really went over a lot of different people's heads at different labels. And so then I was at the point where I was like, well, maybe I'll just put it out myself like I did on my past record, Legionnaire. And then finally, Combat, EMP, they stepped up to the plate. My good friend Dave Ellison and Tom Hazard, they gave me a deal, and I'm super stoked to work with those guys because I'm a huge fan of Dave Ellison with Megadeth, obviously, and Dave and Tom are good friends of mine, and Dave Ellison. So
he knows.
He's messing with you.
Yeah, right. And so, but they've done a wonderful job, getting me doing press like this, you know, and it's been really great because it's a great record, and I really want all the fans to hear it, and I think, you know, all the fans of my other bands are going to love this record. It's really written with them in mind, you know, for the metalheads out there.
Cool.
So now you've actually done quite a few instrumental records on your side project there. At what point in time were you just thinking to yourself, you know what, I want to just do this solo thing? When did that come to fruition?
You know, I've always wanted to do solo instrumental guitar music for years. I've always written stuff like that growing up because I was always a huge Joe Satriani fan, Yngwie Malmsteen fan. But I never really thought about recording stuff until about 2004, I think it was. I started just fooling around in the studio, recording some acoustic stuff, and it got over to Mike Varney at Shrapnel Records, and he offered me a deal. And, you know, I was like, wow, it was one of those moments that was like a dream come true, because I was a huge fan of Mike Varney and the label Shrapnel and all the instrumental records that he has released. And so it really was like incredible. And then all of a sudden that really sparked my interest in continuing doing, you know, my solo project and then touring for it, because I was always such a big fan of all those artists like Joe Satriani and Yngwie Malmsteen. So it just kind of really ignited the whole project for me.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, have you ever had the opportunity to meet or play with Satch or Yngwie at all?
No, but I would love to. I mean, those guys are my heroes, you know. So I always hope one day that maybe I would have the opportunity to tour on the G3 tour, because I'm such a huge fan of that tour.
Yeah,
there you go.
That would be badass. Goal. Yes,
life school for sure. You know, I'm sure that you've met a lot of musicians out there in the industry. Have you ever had a fanboy moment?
Probably once when I met Ozzy Osbourne briefly. That was pretty trippy. And Tony Iommi. And then one time, probably the craziest was, we did a big festival in London one time, and Jimmy Page walked right by me. And I didn't even get a chance to say hello, but he walked right past me, and that was pretty trippy.
Wow.
You know?
Cool. That's pretty amazing.
I think most people would be in awe at that point, too.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
There's legends.
That was pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, there's legends and there's fucking legends.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
Even with what we do, I think it'd be a really weird thing if I was to be in the same room as Ozzy. I would have no idea what to say to the guy. Like,
well, you wouldn't understand him anyway.
You know.
We actually all three of us had the opportunity last year to see him at Aftershock Festival, and that was pretty amazing.
Yeah. That was really cool, man.
For a guy his age, he killed it. Yeah,
he did.
Awesome. He was showing the kids how it's done, man. For when you're on stage, obviously the energy level is up, but is there a point in the show where you just like, fuck it, this is where I let it all just go? Because if you burn yourself out the first 20 minutes, you're dragging ass at the end of the show. Do you save it for the end, or you just kind of mix it up, man?
You know, I try to keep the energy level intense for the whole show. You know, I really try my hardest to give 100% every song, and to never really, you know, take a breather. Yeah,
that's important too, because people are paying good money to go see you. They, you know, if they just want to hear the music, they'll buy the album. But if they want to pay you, we're going to pay to see you. I want to see a show, man. Entertainment. Entertainment. I think it's important. So thank you for that. Yeah.
You know, I've always been curious about this. They call me Camera Rebel because I do concert photography, and the other two guys are musicians sitting around here at the table. And I've played Guitar Hero before, and my hand freezes up pretty freaking fast. So have you ever had, because you're a shredder, man. You just go for it. Have you ever had your hand like freeze up during a show, or?
No, you know, I practice all day. I make a point every day to play guitar. I mean, I'm addicted to the thing, so I've never had any problems. Knock on wood, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
He doesn't have buttons on his guitar.
I know.
He has strings.
There's a huge difference than me. That's awesome.
Hey, Mark, you've been a fantastic guest. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. Is there anything that we didn't talk about today that you wanted to?
No, that's about it. I mean, other than just my new record rotations coming out March 30th. People can pre-order it at the EMP website, and then the new Cavelera Conspiracy record came out back in November. Pick that up, and the new Soulfly will be out later this year. And I think all 3 records, because they came out around the same time, they're a must-have for all the fans.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
You're
amazing.
going into the studio with Soulfly. April?
No, we actually just finished last month.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wrapping it up. Awesome.
No rest for the wicked, brother. You got a hell of a year lined up, sounds like.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for you,
Yep.
man.
That's cool, man. So, well, you'll probably be touring throughout the entire year, it sounds like.
Yeah, this Wednesday I leave for a Soulfly U.S. tour, and we'll actually be out on the West Coast for the beginning of the tour, and then we'll be on tour, for the rest of the year with all 3 projects that I got going on.
Damn, bro.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, that's good, man.
I'm looking at the
That's
tour
awesome.
dates right now. Look at this list.
Yeah, holy shit.
That's crazy.
I don't see Redding, California on there.
No.
Well, what the hell, man?
Berkeley's about as close as he's going to get. Berkeley. We're looking to see where we can come out and see you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Good
come out.
stuff.
Once again, this has been Marc Rizzo, Tar Extraordinaire. Thank you so much, sir, for doing the show with us today.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Well, that was a lot of fun.
Marc Rizzo, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's funny because these opportunities that we're getting as a show are getting better and better. And when you listen to a guy, as long as we have, listened to Soulfly for years, Cavelera Conspiracy for years, and to get to talk to Marc Rizzo, the guy behind that, is a really cool moment.
I mean,
It
he's
is.
a shredder, and you guys know how much I
shredder.
love shred guitar.
Stone Cold Killer.
yeah. There
What
you
a
have it.
fantastic guest.
Totally.
Get out there, get Rotation. That album will be available March 30th. So whenever you're hearing this, it is out there probably at this point. Get out there, get it. If you haven't already, pre-order it. Check out Marc. And go out and check out Cavelera Conspiracy, Soulfly.
Yeah.
I mean, you're missing out if you don't already know who they are.
Absolutely.
You probably
Yeah.
shouldn't be listening to the show.
Go catch Mark in a club this summer. He's going to be badass, man.
Yeah, we intend to try to get out here and see him on the West Coast. In the meantime, this has been Honest Brutality. Thank you so much for listening. Be good people, take care of one another, and most importantly,
Stay metal!
Stay metal.